This time I have a Yamaha RX-A870. This is a relatively new Dolby Digital receiver with all the horns and whistles on it. These sets, being microprocessor controlled, have lots of shutdown circuits on it that monitor everything, and they can go off for any reason whatsoever. And sometimes they blow up real good. This one's not turning on. Let's check it out. Next time I have a Yamaha RX-A870. I'm told it doesn't turn on. I don't know much about these units. It's a modern receiver, and I don't really work on modern receivers. But we'll see what happens. Hit the power. Power light blinks, and nothing happens. The fellow that brought it into me seems to think it's a power supply issue. I think it's a little more serious than that. I think it's a self-test fail, and it's not turning on because when it's doing the self-test, something has been detected that's not right. So it's not allowing it to turn on. That's what I think is the problem. I could be completely off base, but that's just from how these modern receivers operate. That's just my take on it. Now, Yamaha never were an easy receiver to service, and I can't see this one being any easier. This is going to be loaded with surface mounted chips, and like all the modern stuff, a failure anywhere can cause problems. Could be a fuse. I doubt it. I'm betting on it something more serious. But we'll get the top off of it and kind of poke around inside, take a look around inside and see whether there's anything obvious that's gone bad. So there's this monster. As you can see, it's full of chips. I was looking at the standby board here to see if I can spot any connections that might be bad. The last one of these Yamahas I had, there was a bad connection on the standby board. I mean, these ones here don't look too swift down here, do they? So the solder on this is tin, silver, copper alloy. They always look bad. I mean, even when they're good, they look bad.
It plugs in.
Well, I've got it apart. I'm also doing the standard stuff like checking the outputs to make sure there's no shorted outputs, which there are none.
Solder on this looks atrocious. I know it's a lead-free, right? LF, lead-free. I mean, they always look bad, but I mean, it really doesn't look good. One of the reasons I'm kind of concentrating on the standby board right now is just because it doesn't click or anything. It doesn't appear to turn on or attempt to turn on the main power. So I'm gonna go over a few of these connections on here that kind of look a bit questionable. I don't know if that's the fault or not, but it can't hurt to go over some of the ones that look bad. We'll do some voltage measurements here. So on this side of the filter, I've got 118 volts AC, and we should have a filter here, 164 volt DC. If I reverse this, then it'll be negative 164. So that's ground, positive. And on this side of the $5 volts, so the 5 volt supply is there. That's ground, and the other, I just have my probes reversed. So the 5 volt supply is there. So the standby supply is working. There's got to be a reset procedure. I may have to look that up and just see whether something needs to get reset. It's not doing anything. It's like it's totally dead. Like there's no power. It's like there's no standby. But we can see the standby voltage is there now. I should be able to measure this down on this other board down here and just see what's going off to the main. We know that the standby, the switching regulators work in here. There's some more plugs down here. I'm going to get my fingers in here and try to See where the headers go. It's unplugged, don't worry. I'm not sticking my fingers in where something is hot and hanging onto the metal chassis at the same time. It is unplugged. There's another switching regulator down there on that other little board, which is fed from this one. There's another chopper transistor down there, switch mode regulator, another little power supply that's feeding off multiple voltages to something else, derived from the 5-volt supply. Now, is that a fuse? That's a coil, looks like. There's a little coil down here. Wonder what it's like. Yeah, it's not open. Fuses are all okay.
So the reset procedure is you hold the direct button while plugging it in. And that'll do a master reset. But it's not doing anything.
So factory reset is doing absolutely nothing on this one. All I get is a very faint red light on here. You hold the straight button down and plug in the power, and that's supposed to be a factory reset. But the light just flashes. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but there's a faint red light here that just blinks. And nothing else lights up. We'll take a look at the chip here when I power it up. We'll see this chip is going to warm up a bit. Okay, that chip is starting to get warm. You can see it. That chip there. So we know there's power to it. I tried turning the thing on, but nothing happens. But that CPU has got power. You can see it getting warm. If I unplug it, it'll cool down. See? You can see it in color mode. So we know that there's power getting to this board here. But it's not turning on. Could be a dead CPU. Could be any of these other chips here. Could be anything on here. Could be one of these DSPs is bad. In fact, that's the only chip that's showing any type of heat whatsoever is that one. Everything else on here is ice cold. What do we got here? That's a heat sink, but these are just reflections I think I'm seeing of other heat in the room here. These are the HDMI connectors. They're just getting reflections.
Now you know the reason I'm using this meter instead of my Fluke, because I've always got an infrared camera at hand.
The bigger thermal camera shows exactly the same. In fact, it's showing even less heat. It's still blue on here. 79 degrees, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not much in the way of heat. But nothing that's showing any excessive heat. Yes, I look in the power supply and you can see the power supply regulators running. You can see that a little bit warmer. The transformer is a little bit warmer, which is expected. Nothing's jumping out excessive heat. What's this down here I'm seeing? Probably just a reflection again. Again, nothing's apparent. Transistors are cold. The only thing that's showing any type of activity as far as a thermal signature is that main processor, and it's not turning on. You can see it there. You know, it's like 79 degrees Fahrenheit. When I push the power button, nothing happens. Nothing's heating up. Let's get a bit of reflectivity off of it. That's all. I wonder if this that's showing a little bit of heat in here. That's the Wi-Fi receiver module.
I wonder if that possibly could be causing it, you know, locking it up. Let's just try unplugging this thing, because I think it just plugs in. I'll just try unplugging that module and see whether anything changes. Because in theory, something like that on the bus that has a problem would certainly knock everything else down, right? I don't think it's going to make a difference, but you never know. Let's just watch the inside of this can when I power it up. This is obviously getting power. You can see these chips heating up. So the standby power is getting to the unit, but it's not turning on. You can actually feel the heat off this one. So I'll check the 5 volts rail here. This is coming up from the power supply here, 5.5 volts. Okay, 5.553. That's 5.5 volts. Same with that one. And if you're wondering why I use this meter as opposed to my fluke, it's nothing personal. Okay, my fluke is sitting right here. It's just that I'm finding that this thing is just as accurate and it's fast. Okay, I can take the fluke and do exactly the same thing on the fluke. Right, a fluke, right? 5.56. Just extra digit of resolution, basically. This little meter works. I like it. You know, I mean, I'm gonna have the fluke lovers out there telling me it's a piece of shit. It's okay. It works. That's why I've been using it. It's accurate. It tracks the fluke. I got a brand new fluke that I haven't even used yet, that I picked up for a song. But the fact that this has got the IR camera in there just means it's always here. It's always on my bench. It's a rechargeable battery, right? I haven't had to charge it yet, and it's here. So this should be the 3.3 supply. You see that's working. That one's a ground. 3.3. 3.3. After pulling my hair out, I'm still convinced that it might be a locked up CPU. And other users have suggested a different reset procedure. Let's try it. So the procedure that I found off internet said to hold the straight button and plug it in to do a factory reset, but I've since found out that actually the factory reset is done by holding the tone control info button and hitting the power button together. And that should do a factory reset. It says no protect. Okay. And now it turns on. Please wait. Oh, we got sound. So this unit must have been hit with a power surge or something, and it locked it out. So reset procedure on one of these. Say I checked everything on here, pulled the top off it, checked all the power supplies, everything looked good. Assuming it was one of the chips not communicating, and it probably was, but something caused it to go into protection mode. And to reset on this one here, this model, you hold the tone control, the info button, and hit the main power at the same time. And that will reset it, and that did on this one. So the guy is going to be thrilled. So I give the fellow a call. I said, hey, I was able to reset this unit for you. Just the 3-finger salute. And it's working. So he's very happy. So keep that in mind. You got one of these units, RX-A870, that's doing the little flashing light here, the little red light blinking there. Try a factory reset. Say, I looked up on Google, and Google showed holding the straight button in while plugging it in. It said unplug the power, hold the straight button, and plug it in will cause it to do a factory reset. That might be valid for a different model. This one here, it's tone control, info, and power at the same time. Thanks for watching.